I am thinking of visiting an exotic location, perhaps finding a secluded island and being revered as a god by the local women."
"Sounds like fun." Adam smiled and looked over at Rose, who was not paying attention to the conversation. "Any plans, Rose?"
Oh, aim for the head, I guess,"
she responded somewhat distractedly. I meant after the fight," Adam stammered as she turned her attention to him.
"Oh,
She was silent for a bit.
get some dinner, I guess. One way or the other, I don't see this war lasting too long. There is a mana haze here that screams the most powerful people in the world are present to me, so I'd say dinner time is an accurate guesstimate."
What now?" Tom interjected. "I am unfamiliar with this word."
"Guesstimate."
Rose cocked her head to the side.
"A guess. An estimate. A guesstimate."
"Why do people have to keep changing the language with weird mashups?" Tom grumbled. "I have a hard enough time with it as it is normally. There are just too many consonants. Sounds like a bunch of snakes hissing at each other."
The mage that had been speaking earlier began shouting again.
"First groups, lifting off in 3, 2, go!"
Dale's party sucked in a deep breath as they were suddenly accelerated forward. To Dale, it felt like he was a 90-kilogram projectile being launched from a trebuchet to a point over 300 meters away. In reality, their landing point was nearly a half-kilometer away if the descent were included. The only reason the sudden velocity didn't damage anyone was that they were accelerated as a single piece, a unit, not grabbed and tossed. It was hard to describe the difference, but there was a notable one. Dale watched as the ground approached at a rapid pace. The unspeakable abominations that were the undead, including actual abominations, began turning toward the living flesh that was falling from the sky like a treat thrown to a hungry dog. Dale's section was not the first to touch down. That dubious honor went to a contingent of earth mages who prepared their landing point and threw up some rudimentary defenses to slow the advancing nightmare fuel. From his current vantage, it looked like a group landed like a meteor and formed a crater when, in reality, they fell with prepared spells and walls sprang up around them. Either way, it was amazing to watch what he hoped to be able to soon accomplish under his own power. They landed not exactly gently within the sudden protections and hurried to the chest-level barricades to help hold back the flood of rotting flesh. Moments later, Dale was fighting against zombies. He lashed out with his fist, and the skull of the first creature broke with a squishy thud. Dale was taken aback by the ease his first foe was dispatched, but another slightly alarming component was the infernal essence that was absorbed by his gauntlet and absorbed into his core. He was momentarily distracted, concerned that a necromancer would somehow gain a hold on him through his usage of his gauntlets, but he was forced to recover quickly. The dead were not waiting for him to resolve his internal crisis. Besides, after a moment, he could feel the corruption core in his chest separate out the taint and suck it into itself. He should have nothing to fear from fighting as usual. Right, left, right, left. Dale's punches were nearly as regular as a drum beat, playing a marching cadence as he beat down the undead rushing at him. There were already bodies and skeletons piling up around the basic fortifications. Their opponents were starting to use the rotting corpses as a platform to jump at them or to gain the high ground and swing at them from above. Fire and celestial cultivators were working overtime in an attempt to destroy or consecrate the bodies so that the approaching abominations couldn't pull them into themselves and become stronger. Dale could only continue to punch, kick, and dodge. Sometimes he wished he had a longer-range weapon, but his body was more durable at this point than many of the items he could buy, and his gauntlets were inscribed and effective. Dale took a deep breath as he eyed the mounds of flesh that were shambling to their location. They didn't bother to avoid the other undead as they traveled, simply crushing them with each step and slurping up their broken forms to add to their own mass. The first of them reached the line of consecrated bodies, absorbing them and continuing forward. Having expected a different outcome, Dale debated reaching for a core to throw an enhanced attack at the creature. It was too close, and was standing 8 feet taller than him at this point.